Hi, I'm Jake Gyllenhaal, and this is how I became Mysterio. When they pitched Mysterio to me, they were like, he's going to be the new Avenger. He's going to be one of the new members of the MCU. And they needed a specific type of actor, I think, to be able to pull that off. And I just loved that. I mean, I love that, you know, they needed a particular kind of skill set to play this part, which was just exciting to me. And when John Watts approached me about Mysterio, I thought, oh my God, there's so many interesting facets to him, and his backstory is really cool. And I do this thing whenever I'm looking at a character where I'm always like, if they're one way, I'm always wondering if there's the opposite way to play it, or if it's the opposite way, I'm always looking for the other way. I think people tend to write things, or they tend to think of things very like, oh, this person's a good person, or this person's a bad person. I think we're much more complex than that, generally speaking. And I get so bored of villains or bad guys or women in movies that are, you know, they're mustache twirling and they're just bad because they want something, and they just have this sort of, they want the money, they want the power, blah, blah, blah. And it's become less interesting to me. So playing that in a world where I think his logic makes a lot of sense, you know, he says something very clear. Regardless of the power that, you know, should be bestowed, it shouldn't be bestowed on somebody who is not mature enough to hold it, because he knows the power of these things that Tony has created and the power of the MCU, and he respects it. I don't think there's a moment where he doesn't respect it. And I just think he needs to make sure all this work that he's done with Tony is in the right hands. And that really is the intention I had the entire time. And I don't think that's a bad intention. I think that's actually a really, really, really good intention. It gets bad when he feels like in order to get that message across, people need to get hurt. And that's that not very fine line, but that is the line that separates him. But his intention always has to be good. And I don't ever want to play a character who is just bad, like just bad purely, you know? He always believes he's doing the right thing. I mean, the Quentin Beck, or, you know, the number of aliases that he goes under in the comics, his intention always is basically envy. It's based on jealousy, but he uses this idea of illusion and psychoanalysis and all this knowledge he has to manipulate situations. It's different because I think his intention is actually a better intention than ever is in the comics. And I don't think my Quentin Beck or my Mysterio wants to really mess with Peter. I feel like he has to. And there is a distinct difference there, because I think if you really get into it, a lot of times you see characters like this go, you know, ha ha ha, you shouldn't have found yourself here, Peter. You know, I told you so many times never to walk across this bridge, and now here you are, you know. And I was like, no, I need to play a character that tells him never to walk across that bridge. And then he does. And he proves to me that he's not mature enough to wield all his power by walking across that bridge. And I say, man, I told you not to walk across the bridge. Like I told you, almost like a parent. And now you are. And now we have to do something about it. And that makes it just so much more complex for a lesson for Peter. Because as you grow up, the world becomes much more complicated. And I think that's what's so cool about this movie, is the world becomes so much more complicated for Peter.
It's really nice to have somebody to talk to about superhero stuff, you know?
Anytime. The first scene I ever shot was the scene where I enter and I throw those green lasers at my hands that you don't want any part of this. I just was basically put on the suit, thrown on set, and jumped off a platform, and I was in the MCU. And, you know, that's overwhelming. And it took me about 2 months to, like, even figure out what the heck was going on. So right when I finished, I felt like, oh, I got it now. You know, anybody who's searching for a new idea, who never feels like any idea is bad, that's what it feels like to work with Marvel. And now they have, over these many years, the funds to be able to come up with any idea when the best idea is there. And they take real risks. And to me, entertainment and all that, but really art is all about that, no matter what size it is, whether it's like for pop culture, whether you're doing it for two people who don't know, that's what it's all about. That's the fun, that's the delight. Marvel has not lost their delight in the process. And I think that's why so many audiences are delighted by the movies and keep coming back.
You may not be ready, but this is my responsibility.
Well, I think this movie is really about making a movie. And I think I get to play like director and producer and writer all in an actor, all in one character. And I get to play good actor, I get to play bad actor. And I don't think you ever know where the performance is, which is what I love about acting anyway. There's so many actors out there talking about the importance of the creative process, which I think is really important. And I think it's actually really beautiful. I mean, I've devoted my life to it. But at the same time, I think it's totally absurd. And I think you have to have a sense of humor about all of it. And what I love about Mysterio is he's just a comment on how amazing and how kind of ridiculous movies and movie making is, and what we will believe and why we will believe it.
What part of the costume made you most feel like Mysterio?
The pink leather G-string that Mysterio wears really makes me feel like the character. No, it's the woolen cape that lights up. It's the hot battery pack on my back, electrifying the disco ball that is my chest plate. When I feel that burning warmth on my lower backside, that's when I really feel like the character.
You think we'll see Mysterio again?
I don't know if that's up to me. I feel like that's up to Mysterio.